Hi, it's been a while. I'm Rick Harsh. This is Rick Harsh. For CoronaSams.books, I'm the chief editor and one of the authors. Um, Today, I'm just going to show you what we've been up to. We finally have reached uh, a dozen microlines so that we can actually go like this and say, hey, there's a dozen microlines. Don't they look great? What are the ones with the dog on them? Those are the Corona Samizdat classics, books originally published by Corona Samizdat that we think have become classics. And if we're wrong, well, fuck off. Uh, no, I don't mean that. I don't mean that at all, depending. If you say that this is not a classic, yeah, fuck off. This is a classic. It has been taught at Charles University in Prague. It has been reviewed by a Joyce scholar who taught the course, and that review is available on Erratum Press. It also includes two other books, Adriatica Deserta by me, and some features of living matter in the neighborhood of the sun, I believe it's called, by Zach Tanner, which will be back in print as a microline, not too long from now. So things are picking up here only because we're forcing it. We're forcing uh, one way or another books to get out. Our most profitable books are, of course, Abundant Circuity and uh, America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots, a diagnostic. Both are out of print. We're going to try to get them both in print in September. We could have had them in print by now and done away with the new books, but I think in the long run, what we need to do is establish something new here. These books are fantastic. They're not plastificated, which doesn't mean that we can't do a good job with plastification, as is best shown by our latest, which is Randall Eldon Green's uh, Blabber Chat Shouting Match, 50 dialogue only short stories. A pretty remarkable piece of work in its own right. Not a microline, but a great book with a nice cover by Zach Tanner and perhaps with some input from the author. Now, why am I talking so fast? Because I'm not going to talk about every one of these books. I'm going to show them all because I think that they're really well done. I will mention again Arkapravo Baumik, who is the watercolorist, in this case, of the Periplus of Spurtank Road, and I think it's brilliant. And we have another Arkapravo who's going to do the upcoming CS Classic Skulls of Istria, my book. And yes, we're calling it a classic, and we think it is. And it'll have a cover by Arkapravo Baumik, an original watercolor. And we also have another Vardaman. This is Feast of the Assumption. Oh, by the way, Easter was torn from the flesh of Suggestion Diabolique because I believe it's a book that should stand alone. David has a book to replace it, or a novella, whatever, in the next rendition of that book, Suggestion Diabolique. I don't know how we ran out so fast. Maybe I gave too many away. That's happened in several cases, like Wade Gavin's. Um, this is also, look at the dog. Okay, that's a CS classic. We used his original cover and just a blank white on the back, and it's a beautiful small book. Um, the uh, the print is legible, easy to read. The thing we go by is the one book that is really it really had too small a print was Jeff Percy's Unidentified Man at Left of Photo. But I mean, I didn't notice it when I read it, but we have had other people say that it just gives you a migraine. Well, it doesn't give everybody a migraine, but we want the print to be bigger. This is bigger. It's easy to read, and we're getting there. We're getting there. It's a beautiful book. Raging Joyce, Sublime Violations. This could come with torn covers, and it would still be the best, most valuable book on Vietnam of the fiction variety. And Zach did a little take on the An Old Beatles album, and those in the know, I wasn't one of them. I had to be told. Um, See, this is also a work of art. Look at all the scumbags on there. Imagine if we did one for, like Raging Joy's Sublime Variations instead of Violations, which would be the 2020s version. You'd have Netanyahu, Trump, Biden. Well, I don't know. I'll do a separate thing on those. Okay, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. All right. So yet another one. All these. This is what I love about these. These are similar in spine, but individuated and very artsy. We have this cover, which is reminiscent of our alt cover. It is by an artist that is in here credited Fergus and N capital M N small m, and it's really extraordinary, really extraordinary. But inside you have the extraordinary classic. And I think this has been popular enough and reviewed well enough that I think we can say that. Zachary Tanner, his own book, another beautiful book to have. Speaking of beautiful books, Roberto Segroff translated his own book of short stories. He asked me to look over the translation. I found maybe a comma or something, and then I was just dumbstruck by what I was reading. I read one half out on my balcony, came in, just, I couldn't, the book was too hot. It was hot with ideas. So I came in and I wrote an introduction, which is in here. And these are the photos that Segroff chose for the book. This one especially is freaky. And they feel nice. It's beautiful. The Lift by Dmitry Kral from Isla Slovenia. This book is another, it maybe should have been a classic. Maybe next time it will be. We'll see. But the cover, simple but perfect photography by our film director and chief photographer, Sasha Muniza. Okay. And we have Gargi Barua. I have to read this again and think a lot about how I want to present it. I love the book. And it's the word I always use is sinuous. The mind is sinuous. The writing is sinuous. It's a fantastic book, a gorgeous book. 350 rupees only, but only if you're in India. And if you're not, pay $10. What's the big deal? They cost as much as these. Okay. We've got Mark Douglas using the Douglas format, which is and for a tremendous book of poetry. Naturally flavored with artificial flavors, Mark Douglas. Every poem is a wealth of reference, knowledge, and skill that ranges from the low to the high, as often people say. This is my mother made a cookbook, and she was 93, and I thought, she was still 92. And I thought, why didn't I think of this before? We turned it into a microline, photographed by Sasha Muniza again. My mother has since passed away, but she did endure with clear mind enough to enjoy this book. One person snarkily commented on the fucking, and where this comments will be here. Why would I want to buy your mother's cookbook? I don't know. Why would my mother want to make a cookbook? Why would I want to reproduce a cookbook? Why would anyone want to buy a cookbook? Fuck off. What a dumbass thing to say. I don't know if he was kidding or not, but still. I love this book, and it's precious to me, precious to my family, and if it's not precious to any readers, we've actually sold about 10 of them. I make no apologies, and that leads me to the last of the ones up till now. We have a few more coming. This one is called Rick and Jack in Croatia, as you can probably see. Although, can you? Yeah, okay, I don't know. It's mirror image here. Um, and no, not mirror image, it's flipped. I don't know what it is. Anyway, that's my father and me, a photograph that I have right here. My mother had it made in, you can hang it up and, it's some kind of metal. But it says Rick and Jack in Croatia. That's the name of the photograph. And this was taken 20 years ago. Um, I had indecipherable emotional reactions, sinuous ones, um, in the mode of Gargi Barua, and they it led to a sort of frenzy, 2 weeks or so of writing, um, to reach a sort of comprehension. I have always been left of left, and my parents were always Republicans, and the only thing that changed was the party and what it stood for and did, and they adopted, or adapted to the party. Like, for instance, there's a big difference between Charles Percy, Senator Illinois, who they supported in the 60s and 70s, and Ronald Reagan, and who they supported. And then there was a change, quite a bit of a change, between Reagan and Clinton. And, oh, no, Clinton was Democrat in name only, actually, quite like Obama, I think. And so my parents, they went with the party, and they always supported it. They were loyal people. I think loyalty was an important characteristic of them. And so we were often opposed to each other in politics. But this book needed to do something much more. So it's not a book about me versus Pops, my dad. It's much more than that, and far different from that. There is a lot about family in here, and some very personal things that I don't want to talk about right this second, but I did put in here without thinking, caring, whatever. I wanted to get to something. And I recently had someone very intelligent and to some degree probably very left-wing, maybe not as left as I am, but he asked me if I was maybe being a little naive about Hamas in this book, which gives you some idea of what might be problematic if this was read by the border guard. If I ever go to the U.S., they'll jail me, if they read this book. But who reads my books? Anyway, I hope a few of you do. It's Microline. It's short, and it does praise Sinwar. And I challenge anybody to, you take any leader currently leading right now, and I'll take Sinwar, and I'll explain to you. I will win the argument about who was the more significant historical figure, the better man, so to speak. Women, maybe Arden was her name, of New Zealand. She might be the better man or woman, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the supposed bad guys. Is Hamas a terrorist organization? No, it is not. It is not a terrorist organization. They do not attack outside of their homeland. They do not attack and try to strike terror into people who are not occupying their homeland. They never have. Have they said some really anti-Zionist things? Yes, they have. Have they grown and rewritten their constitution? Yes, they have. Are they now calling for the annihilation of all Jews? No, they are not. Did they commit a crime on October 7th? Well, they did commit some crimes, war crimes. And do they know that? Yes, they do. It's actually on file in the United Kingdom, in the courts in the United Kingdom, where they're fighting over whether or not they should be a proscribed terrorist organization. Their argument being that they are not terrorists, they have never been terrorists. Violent, yeah, the military wing is violent and has engaged in terrorism, and that's a fact. That's a fact. But the fact also is they, unlike Israel, they call for an international investigation of their crimes on October 7th. Um, the Israelis, well, they started their crimes on October 7th. See the Hannibal Directive, see how many, well, actually, nobody knows how many Israelis were killed by Israel on that day, but it happened. There were some, well, there were murders, babies in ovens. None of that shit's true. One baby died um, at the hands of Gazans on that day. Hamas, we don't know, probably not. Hamas did commit some crimes, but primarily the crimes were committed by other military groups and civilians of Gaza who broke out of their prison and went berserk, as I think I would as well. Although I would have been with Hamas, the military brigade, the Qassam brigades, I would have been with them on that day if they would have had me. I would have done anything I could to help my people get the fuck out of the Israeli concentration camp. So, what did they do wrong? Well, there was some murder. Never good, never good. And it's a war crime. And they are saying, go ahead, go ahead. Investigate us. We invite you. And it's um, actually in the legal process in the UK. It is all elaborated there. So, yeah, am I naive about Hamas? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think that a very few people have been talking to them, taking them seriously. Till now, they have broken no promises in their negotiations, and Israel has broken all promises. So, who's the terrorist? Certainly not Hamas. Hamas is not a terrorist organization. I make that case in here, but I also have some nice things to say about Osama bin Laden. Not about the whole of things, but about my desire to understand people. I would have, well, read the book and you'll see. So this is uh, my Hamas book, but it's also a very personal book about me and a fucking wallpaper cutout of an uncle. But see the book, read the book. I'm just talking. Bye.